Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with a former world champion Terran in the red. It's Micro Jackson, ByuN. Facing off against Cyril's greatest stunt double, the Rocky Zerg in the blue, we have Solar. In a best of 5 Terran versus Zerg Grand Finals as part of Cranky Duckling's Sparkling Tuna Cup. And whether you want to see these big fish sink or swim, it'd be awesome if you help me stay afloat with the algorithm. And smash that like button. Maybe even subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,697 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than pretty much all of the lings and drones early. As ByuN is being ByuN. A 3 Rax Reaper build with the 3rd Rax out in front. A Proxy Reaper Hidden Cheese. Crouching Barracks Hidden Reaper. Now, the difference between the 2 and 3 racks is dramatic. It's not just 1 or 2 more Reapers. That's the difference between being able to hold with a single queen and a few lings and needing both queens. Though since ByuN has been trying to get the Reaper nerfed and sometimes has been successful for most of the 16-year history of StarCraft 2, Solar has been on the receiving end of ByuN's Reaper cheeses for most of those years. He's taken this very seriously. Brenda bounce over the top. The queen with most of the energy being targeted. The other doesn't have a transfuse. Will retreat up the ramp. Takes a few knitting needles from the front line. Poking forward. Down goes one Reaper. And with it, some of the momentum. Solar already has circling speed on the way, and that's pretty much the end of this is if he's able to maintain a critical mass of link. Still trying to target further. But with the transfuse and a 3rd queen joining the knitting crew, another Reaper's taken down. Brenda's revenge is sweet and violent. But Zergling speed is done. Solar did not get greedy, but instead, he got whatever he needed to stay safe. A whole bunch of Zerglings. The Reapers are jetpacking their way back home, trying to hide behind the wall. The add-ons at the front, the Zerglings, and he shuts the door in their face. Yes, door-based technology is simple enough for the Terrans. Eat your heart out, Protoss. They can't. They don't have mouths. The barracks is headed back home just in case Solar didn't know for sure. Though I'm sure he's able to do basic math and can realize that that Reaper count just didn't add up. Or at least it shouldn't have, not nearly that quickly. So the Reapers are still a threat. He's trying to force Solar to build enough Zerglings to limit his economy. While at the same time, not losing the Reapers, because then he loses all the map control he might enjoy. The Queens are slowly, but surely and stoically marching forth as they politely yet very firmly distract the Reapers while the Zerglings looking for the wraparound. Jukes back to the side. Grenades bounce everything around. Scrapes one of the Reapers away. And ByuN's grenades and maneuvering are so good that, he tries to slide back in with the grenade bouncing him forward, but the Reaper's getting spread out. The Zerglings picking him off one by one. And he's eventually... He actually bounced them over, and while they're in the air, they don't have collision. He literally bounced the Zerglings over his head and slipped underneath, and 2 Reapers will survive because of it. 1 Reaper with 7 kills, the other with 6. The grand tally so far, 26 Zerglings for 6 Reapers. It wasn't really worth it for ByuN. Look at the worker count. Look at the map control. So what happens now? And I'm making a real effort to remember that there are still people who try to play the game or at least understand it, even, as we mentioned, 16 years in. So we're going to do a little bit more of that commentary. Now that I pointed it out, it's a little more tacky, but moving on. So now that the Reapers are taken out, they cost gas. You don't have add-ons. ByuN is, of course, going to have the follow-up into Marines and Medevacs. But that follow-up comes significantly later than if you did so, unless you just walk across... What are you doing? Okay, well, never... I guess you could just walk across the map. Solar supply block may save him from panic building links. He actually built like 6 overlords because he's like, what are you doing here? Why are you walking across the map? So this is such an old school style. The literal, you can build drones or you can build units to try to limit the Zerg. But he's playing with proverbial and quickly metastasizing fire ByuN right now. As the sheer amount of units on the field, Solar's already at 63 drones despite the aggression. ByuN should not be doing this. But if he gets away with it, it's all the better for him. As he realizes if he just sits back, it's going to be trouble. But if he goes, it could be double. He could lose his entire army and have nothing back at home anyways. But if he toes the line, and that line usually being wherever the creep is oozing, he's going to go forward. He's going to see the roaches. This is... Okay, the medevacs are a little bit late. The queen's already targeting him. A couple getting gunned down, but this is restricted lair space. You say that every time, Susan. And it's still true. It's the same strategies for 15. What do you want me to come up with something new? They're doing... He's making Marines. Sorry, I whacked out for... So, ByuN is now down 50 supply. His combat shield isn't quite finished. The one thing he does have are upgrades. And the Marines benefit possibly more than any other unit. At least in terms of usable cost from upgrades. Great little juke there. As they fire so quickly that bonus damage from the +1 attack is applied so many times over. Now, the Carapace helps negate it for the roaches, but it's much easier to concentrate your fire with the Marines because of their maneuverability, the stim pack. But Solar is using the old adage, the best defense is a good offense. The way he keeps ByuN at home is much the way ByuN tried to do the same thing. Just get up in his face and force him. If he doesn't have all his units here, he likely dies. If he does have all his units here, he may still die, but it's a bit more tenuous. ByuN trying to use those little bit of stims and the slightly higher range of the Marines and Marauders in order to trade and keep the unit count down. But Solar already has 80 drones. He's getting infestors. He's got a hive in production. Again, the saving grace for ByuN are his upgrades and the fact he has Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. All right, the three most important tools for his entire storied career. I mean, most Terrans, but specifically ByuN. Honestly, ByuN is more like the metaphorical father to Clem, who kind of went above and beyond the next generation of top-tier Terrans. But ByuN's still going strong. The Medevacs helping out, but the corrosive biles are scattered throughout. Not intended to do direct damage, but instead to force any amount of micro to break up the death ball, the bio ball that comes rolling across the map, feeling be unstoppable. The corrosive biles force that micro away. Sometime of the Marines and Marauders not lining up their shots. He's gonna pick up at the fungal! Not feeling so fun anymore! The corrosive biles raining down like an unruly frat party, but the medevacs are enough. They're able to evade it. Fungal doesn't stun like it once does, but already adrenal glands on the way. Look at that shin right there. The first priority as the hive finishes. Different Zergs have different priorities, but Solar investing in that 40% attack speed upgrade to the Zerglings. Baneling speed on the way as well, but ByuN keeping the pressure on. He cannot let Solar build up that massive supply and that massive bank. The siege tanks. There's a destructible rock tower that could be dropped down here as well. Baneling speed is done, and Overseer's been hanging out for like 2 minutes in the main. Finally backs off. Maybe we'll inspire a Nidus. ByuN down 50 supply, but he's the one on attack. 2 siege tanks around the corner. But I feel like he's getting spread way too thin. He might have the upgrades, but he doesn't have the numbers. Somewhat ironically. He's forced to pick up, and again, battered down. 120 to 170 supply. Solar has about the ideal scenario. He's got hive tech already online and adding even more. Lurker down. Adrenal glands. Probably see +3 carapace momentarily. He's adding Hydras. He's got 85 drones, 5-6 hatcheries. Most of the bases on his side of the map. It just gets better and better. Now, ByuN, the closer he gets to 200 supply, the more army supply he has to compete, the more likely it is he can take that game-changing fight that tilts the momentum, flips the table in his direction. We'll see if this is it. So we're not going to commit. He's splitting off some of his Zerglings to get some damage done to the SCVs. Not finding much there. The Roaches and Ravagers, mediocre at best. All right, Ravagers with a hitbox larger than your mother make it very hard to maneuver for other units in the vicinity. The Corrosive Bile is really the only thing there that justifies their presence. 100 gas apiece is certainly quite an investment. But Roaches on their own aren't gonna... Oh, no! Oof. The Infestor getting popped like an overripe eggplant. And the Octo-Rax is online. 8 barracks, 2 factories, and a starport in production. Down goes a medevac. The supply is as close as they've ever been, at least in the last few minutes. Planetary Fortress, now at the 4th base. Reinforcements cutting off the streets of the Terran base. I'm surprised he hasn't reinforced that wall. But ByuN is inching closer to 200 supply. The Zerglings keep slipping through. The border control is quite lax right now, as clearly the wall has not been completed. But slicing... Oh, wow, ByuN hitting 2 sides. So, Jimmy, what is that? No! I'm sorry, let's refresh our memories. ByuN hitting 2 sides. The Zerglings slipping in. The Queens being chased down. Concussive shells, making them even slower. There's some lurkers on the way, but ByuN is rolling past on the left side. The Corrosive Bile's actually hitting Solar in the face on the way by, and a hatchery goes down on the right flank. 16 SCVs dead to the counterattack. ByuN taking heavy, but not critical damage. The Bio has 3-3. It's a 2-3 upgrade advantage right now for ByuN. This is the best it's gonna get until the lurkers are online. ByuN needs to strike while the upgrades are hot. He targets down 2 lurkers. Without any real support, he grinds his way through the Zerglings, and the upgrades carrying him forward. Hatcheries falling left and right, and he's working on center. The drops on the right side. ByuN actually takes the supply lead. Another hatchery goes down. The multitasking here. So far, Solar just unable to keep up. Another Queen goes down. Eating more shot. Another hatchery! Oh, no! Despawning right now. Solar is down to 3 bases. Well, make that 4. He actually has that top right corner. But so far... Jimmy. Let it go. But so far, ByuN has been able to get the damage done. He's flipped the supply in his favor. And now, if he can coalesce, consolidate his army, he could go for a killing blow. His medevacs are entirely out of energy. And I'm not even going to complain about the lack of Caduceus Reactor because he hasn't had the time, the space, or the resources. That medevac energy regen upgrade. The lurkers are online. Solar is called the Rocky Zerg because of how many times he gets punched in the face and he keeps getting back up. All right, maybe he should learn to dodge better, but he never has. But this is really stretching it. He loses 3 bases and a bunch of drones, but he does have the tech. He has the lurkers now. I assume he has lurker range. No? No! That's a big mistake, and ByuN taking full advantage. He splits, he stims, and he goes forward. The banelings will crash through, but he's tearing everything else apart. A single lurker now gunned down, and ByuN is just rolling forward. The bio ball has too much momentum, but a couple lurkers on the high ground are going to slice through it. Those 2, 3, and now 4 lurkers are the only thing standing, well, I guess burrowed between Solar and Oblivion. That lack, I keep looking at it. He does not have the lurker range upgrade. And that is a big mistake, especially against this unit composition. Lurker range makes it almost impossible for the bio army to engage if there are more than a couple lurkers. But back at home, the Nidus, the Liberators of the Venn diagram of freedom, are making the idea of popping out of that Nidus very uncomfortable. Meanwhile, making everyone else uncomfortable down the center. The lurkers a little out of position. They do have burrow speed, but ByuN has a battle line of marauders. The Marines have almost entirely been cut out of the composition for not having enough HP to survive these exchanges. And ByuN still has a 40 supply lead. Where has it all gone? Solar turns a 30 supply advantage into a 30 supply disadvantage. All right, the Wall Street bets of Zerg right now. He fought. Oh, and this is why you can't take this base. It is almost I don't even think Ravagers can hit it. It's an absolutely disgusting and geometrically offensive position where you literally cannot hit the Liberators if you don't have air units. You either need Vipers or you just got to get the hell out. It's Corruptors as well, but Solar builds a Viper for the first time this game. He probably thought he didn't need it, but now he wishes he had it. A single Marine, the drones, looked like they were going to attack, and then the Liberator backs him up. Air support called in. ByuN has somehow, well, it's pretty clear how, retaken the momentum with those infinitely microable. Has he not noticed the lurker range? That is such a mistake at this stage. But the lurker count is high enough that ByuN cannot. When the floor is mostly lurkers, like 4 lurkers, ByuN has the Liberator. All right, the concentric rings here. Making sure the standoff down the center. So the rock tower could be dropped on the lurkers right now. Will ByuN recognize it? I would love to see it. And most units struggle to deal with it there. It kind of pushes them out of the way. But units that are sieged or burrowed cannot move out of the way of the rock tower. They don't get pushed out. And that can cost them. The Nidus defense medevac in the main has become a staple of Terran late game. And another hatchery added to the tally. That's gonna be, is that 4? 4 so far. 9 lurkers on the field. 0 with range. Okay, this is gonna be the adrenal glands here. Honestly, lurker range, not having lurker range is worse than not having adrenal glands. And the Liberator's continuing to siege forward. His army, he has 32 Marauders and 15 Marines. And be another hatchery. And another one bites the dust. The Viper overhead trying to get involved. Yanks in a couple of the Liberators. The Hydras will deal with the rest. Lurker range. He starts it. Oh, I'm sure there was a head shake or 4 right there. Getting whiplash from it. The Lurkers trying to move forward, but the Marauders just plunking them down. Meanwhile, the Hydra counter. The reinforcements mostly being cut off. The Liberator, the crowbar that pried open the Viper, the crowbar that pried open the Liberator attack. Hydra's lunge forward, kind of shimmy in place, but at least the upgrade is done. I think what happened is he tried to queue it up and he didn't have the resources. And that's why. That's what players will usually do. But the SCVs are pulled off the line into the lurker spines. Whole lot of gumption, but you're in way over your head. And with the lurker range finishing in a few seconds, ByuN has been pushed back to 130 supply. An absolute bloodbath in this game. 28,000 to 36,000 resources lost. Solar's lost so much, but the Rocky Zerg is held on. Ghosts have hit the field, though. The Vipers overhead full energy. The Ghosts don't have enough for EMP. There's one on the back line. Might try to target it down. Parasitic Bomb, as well as Blinding Cloud. Throwing it out. Quarantines one medevac, dropping out of others. ByuN. Oh no, he's floating past the Liberators, taking extra damage. 27 SCVs dead. There's an orbital command to the north side. 125 to 130 supply. Both players ripping into one another. Solar has rebuilt. He has not nearly reached the economy he once had in his hubris, but the army supplies are nearly even. That middle base again, but the Vipers are out. At least 2 of them survived. God, that Liberator positioning is absolutely obscene. What is this one Ravager harass? Okay. That is one of the things you can do. But Solar is still down on supply, but he has the lurkers. The ghost count isn't too high yet. 7 ghosts, but they have to be in position. He's trying to build a planetary, but seconds before, yanks in a couple Liberators, lines up some shots, a firing line, gonna plink through many of the lurkers and a bunch of the Hydras as well, but yanking in the ghosts in order to get ping cushioned by the Hydras and lurkers on their way over. The orbital command's gonna be taken down. Mission accomplished, I think, from Solar. He takes out that northern base. He has the economy back at home. The lurkers, a very poor concave here. I'm just waiting for the rocks to drop on some lurkers. And ByuN takes another good fight. The changeling figured out at the last second. Wow, a brutal game. 28 lurkers. 500 zerglings. ByuN's marauder... Well, his marauder count has finally been cut down. Yanks in the liberator that was constantly harassing, but another volley of ghost fire comes out and snipes out some lurkers. 135 supply apiece. Solar mining relatively comfortably from the 3 o'clock. He lost a Viper as he consumed the hatchery. So the reason a lot of players will consume hatcheries, not because it's necessarily a good idea, but because it's very easy to click on the mini-map. And a lot of players will shift Q consume on the mini-map, and it ends up just hitting one of the bait. Another one. And here we go again. Round and round we go. There's not quote. No, get over it. Just yeets it into the unit's lost tab. Another knight is to the north. Now, ByuN going down the center. Obviously quite a vulnerable position, but easier to defend for the Terran than the Zerg. Neither player with nearly enough economy to contemplate anything resembling a tech switch. Solar never got +3 attack upgrades, as he's been strapped for minerals, and even more so for gas. But he now has 91 Zerglings, 9 Lurkers, another few dozen Lings on the way. He's going to try to move in if he can get into position before the ghosts really notice. Well, that makes it that much harder. Gonna try to yank in some of it. Blinding Cloud doesn't interrupt the snipes nor EMPs. But ByuN loses 13 LCVs. Not really a count he can afford to dip below. Very dead lurker. Still enough medevacs back to Reapers. Totally not a misclick. It was a misclick. ByuN hiding in the trees with some Widow Mines. Losing a lot of momentum here. Solar has once again retaken the income lead. He's rebuilt. He lost 5 hatcheries, but he bounced back. Building another one in the bottom left. Has nearly his half the map now. There's technically the Rube Gold Base machine. You could take down the rocks, knock out the watchtower, and then knock out the rocks to open up the base. I've also seen some players just build a base off to the side because, you know, better than nothing. Oh, that Widow Mine lines up a big shot, but that Bio Ball, the Baneling's closing in. The Rock's in a precarious position. He takes him down. What a save! He drops the Rocks, and will it save him? I mean, it certainly bought him time. What an Indiana Jones level play from ByuN to turn it around. Oh my! Thank you. Oh, I dreamed of it, I prayed for it, and some days your prayers are answered. I haven't seen quite a geologically fortuitous play like that in quite a while. Just yank it and liberate after liberate. The problem remains, though. It's the economy, stupid. The replacement with automation here. The Mule Mountain, once again, is built off the back of those very temporary units. He still has 5 orbital commands. Solar, gonna come up the ramp again. There's no rocks to save him here. A single Liberator gonna be taken down easily. But allow the Bio to get something of a concave. There's that Reaper in the mix as well. But the Lurker line runs quite deep. And it's slicing through GG in English and Korean as ByuN acknowledges Solar survival. Rocky goes every round. 700 Zerglings, 55,000 resources lost, 1,000 units exactly. But he won the game. Wow. Solar not tapping out, not giving up. Realizing he didn't have the lurker range. I wonder what prompted it. Either my lurkers are doing so terribly, I really think it's one of the easiest mistakes to make. is you queue up the Lurker range upgrade alongside your others, and you just don't have quite enough, and in the midst of everything. But that is what allowed ByuN to kind of scrape his way into an advantage. But Solar, as always, that's what I love about Solar, all right? I say he's Cyril's stunt double. That's not supposed to be insulting. You know what a stunt double does? The more entertaining things, okay? Like, maybe the perfectly manicured lead actor Cyril can be in all the big titles and movies and all that. But the stunt double does the hard work, all right? Right in the line of fire. And that's what it feels like. Solar is a good enough impression of how Cyril plays. He doesn't play that mass ultra style. He likes the lurkers. He likes the nidus. But he's gonna take the punches. He is gonna get hit again and again. Maybe even critically injured. But he comes back. He gets up. He didn't hear no bell. Because of the hearing loss from the repeated concussion. But I digress. ByuN will not be stopped. He will continue. We actually found the game when he talked to Dark and said, well, after 3-4 games in a row of failing to do the Reaper build, and Dark asked, how many times are you going to do this? When he tried to bring it back a few years ago. And ByuN said, until it works. And for about a year, pretty much after that series, the 2-Rags Reaper was back in the meta as like half of the games. It's now about, well, in non-ByuN games, it's about 10 to 20%. In ByuN games, so far, this series, 100%. In other series, I put about 1 in 3. But it's just a 2-Rags here. Thankfully, the add-ons are on the same side of the map. And the side of the map does matter, mostly for the add-ons for Terran. But also there's a few other implications, like the side of the hatchery, the larva and the queen pops out. Queen always pops out the southern side of the hatch, also where the larvae are spawning. This is most relevant in Zerg versus Zerg, actually, because if you're going to do an early cheese and your opponent is on this side of the map, it makes it a little bit easier to maybe get a grab on a queen or some of those units with your Zerglings. Also, even more technically, it takes longer for your drones to get to the mineral line to start mining. Like, another half second. Okay, but who's counting? I'm counting, Karen. No. No. Not today. People are getting weird about it. They're weird. Sorry. This time around. All right. I forgot to get it set. I remember the last time, pretty much every time ByuN, especially against Korean players that he's played 100 times. But we're doing live translation. Chicken mania is delicious. Says ByuN, I'm a sun lover. What should I do? Didn't we do this last time? Man gave me a gift. I'm not convinced that this, I'm not sure. I mean, who doesn't love chicken? But I feel like we're talking about foul play instead. Of course, I'm not sure if we try. I'm gonna give it another shot. Yep, chicken mania is delicious. I'm a sun lover. What should I do? Didn't we do this last time? Well, I don't know how much we're talking about the builds and how much we're discussing who's gonna buy dinner after they win this series. But either way, also might be some reference to cowardly. I'm sure you can interpret that however you'd like, but this time, Reaper Hellion. But of course it's going to be Marines with medevacs behind. Let's make no mistake about that. Occasionally, you'll see a crazy... Maru actually showed a couple crazy swerves into mech from the early Reaper plays. But it obviously, you already have the barracks. Solar also went for a pool first here, so he was better suited to dealing with the early Reapers. But, oh wow, that's a quick lair. That's a very quick lair. Alright. So, Solar is building drones. Is he actually buying what ByuN is selling? He knows the medevacs are coming across the map. He just built 8 more drones. He has... Oh, he's dead. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he can hold with... He needs to build more, but he's not going to have banelings. He's not going to have roaches. His queens don't have much energy for transfuse. Here come the medevacs. Stim is done. A bunch of dudes with drugs, guns, and a hatred of illegal aliens here is making me feel right at home. And getting the queens. Oh my, the medevacs showing up, but ByuN. I think you could translate that one. Question mark, laughing face. I do want to know. I need to move my... What? Converted red? I don't know what that means. That does not translate well, but... Solar's like, okay. And then he just dies. So that was about as anticlimactic as it ever gets. Solar not expect... He scouted it? He knew... One, he knew what the usual follow-up is. And two, he scouted the medevac timing, and he still died. Okay. Even one of the best in the world. That was a little embarrassing. I mean, I'd die to ByuN or Solar 100 times out of 100. But, yikes. It happens. He thought he could maybe get another round of drones. The Overlord might have even been... Like, this is one of the most common things for Meta League players that I've seen in my coaching experiences, which is I send my Overlord in at this timing. Ooh, Overlord goes in. They don't look at it. They don't really think about it. But I sent my Overlord to scout. Job's finished. No. What it actually sees, the timing of the starport, these are important things to note. You can't just autopilot your way into 65 drones and 4 bases and expect not to die to a concerted medevac attack, especially from the guy who invented medevac attacks. Okay. That's like saying... Now, when you think of Lord of the Rings movies, you think of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. Alright? With... Well, you know what I'm talking about. You don't think of the animated Lord of the Rings from like 1970 or whatever it was. What I'm trying to say is, many players did medevac builds before ByuN, obviously. But ByuN, especially in the modern era of StarCraft 2, as the first champion of Legacy of the Void, in 2016, our first full year of Legacy of the Void, he defeated Dark. Back to a start. With Tankovacs. But then he got Reapers nerfed, and then Tankovacs nerfed, and then he kind of popularized the 16 Marine stim timing, where you just put 16 dudes. Well, in this case, he's just walking across the map, so get your cardio in. Like and subscribe so I can afford health insurance. Get your cardio in, but yeah. What I'm trying to say is Solar should have been ready. He just wasn't. And his reaction was just deer in the headlights. And then gunned down by automatic weapons, which we use for hunting where I come from. Need my AR-15 to hunt Zerglings. Smaller type of Zerg. Hell yeah, brother. Where was I? 3cc. I wasn't there, but ByuN was. Building it on the low ground, I think he's trying to evade said Overlord with this CC. I don't think there's a huge mind game. A Zergling could easily come up and spot it, but a few extra seconds. Solar. Not to be deterred, it's going to go for another very quick lair. Usually you build 5, 6 queens. Lairs like 4 to 5 minutes in. Maybe even later, if you don't think it's cooked banshee. But shenanigans are afoot. The only question is, are they going to be foot related? Or maybe something a little more fleeting. Check out my OnlyFans for more. But only 2 gases. It's a Nidus. Or Swarm Host. I can't make myself believe he's just going to go Swarm Host. What? A Spire on 2 gas? I mean, he's going to get 2 more gas now, but he's not going to get that many mutas. Also, I dared not dream, but maybe he was trying to hide it by not getting. And he's getting Zergling speed after. Yeah, even cut Zergling speed for this. I think he was trying to sell the more standard play. Also, ByuN scouted the base off to the corner. Solar's actually pulled that off a couple times, the hidden base. One of those strategies that works at 2,000 and above 6,000 MMR. The hidden base strats. Honestly, pro players are very vulnerable to the accepted way to do things. Some more than others. But, Solar and just switching a small thing slightly can sometimes yield massive rewards. Oh, but the Reaper gets it. Oh, come on. And if ByuN doesn't say something, I'll be surprised. Like, he pulled the drones. Like, even if he didn't see the Spire, that's pretty much screaming, I have a Spire, don't look. Don't come in yet, my Spire's not done. No, we all know you have a Spire, it's not, we've all seen a Spire before. It's not finished. Yeah, nowadays it takes a while. This Viking still gonna potentially... Hey! Sir, no! No, stop it! Well, Viking gets the Overlord and eventually gets put in its place, but now what does Solar do? Are we shifting to a ground army, or is he gonna make more mutas? The Changeling take it down. Stim is now completed, though it's a risky business. He actually stims his Marines. It only takes 5 mutas to one-shot SCVs or Marines in a single volley, but makes it a little easier if they stim beforehand. But of course, the Marines have more range as well, so. ByuN at the front. Puts the most bruised Marine. Hospice care, give or take. Now, Mutiling Bane has had a little bit of a surge lately. Honestly, Zerg's always trying to adapt to the meta in general and opponents specifically. But mutas, especially on a map that has close air distance like this, can still be quite strong. Just never, ever look away from them. All right? Just always be paying attention, because if you fly into a Widow Mine, or 2, or much worse, 4, then the game just ends. The turrets are zoning mutas out of the base. He didn't expect him to fly directly into the mineral line, and the mutas just ransacking the SCVs. 6 SCVs dead. Now the turrets, ooh, takes out a couple on his way out. That's a rough one. But very simply, mutas are incredibly expensive. They make it very difficult to afford more tech. That's why ByuN already has 1-1, and Solar just started it. That's why ByuN has Marines with Stim and Combat Shield, and Solar needs to remember Baneling speed as soon as possible. They are 100 gas apiece, so losing any number of them is devastating. And you need to maintain, ideally the number is 15 to 20. In my opinion, more than 20 is just a liability. That's such a huge chunk of your army supply, so vulnerable to splash damage. But 20 is enough to easily one-shot Medivacs, Widow Mines into being an existential threat to anything but an entire army of Marines. So it appears Solar's trying to go up to that mid-double-digit number. The Zerg rocks are about to be dehydrated, bleed out. Right around the 8-minute mark. Except for the one Solar has enough creep too, so that way they stall out their inevitable demise. Speaking of creep, Solar, using that map control the mutas provide. ByuN just has to run around his base and try to get the flying rats out of his face, but so far, only moderate success at deterring them. Infestation pit on the way. ByuN, despite the losses, and they are pretty dramatic, he's taken out 5 mutas. He's got 68 SCVs, almost perfect. He's getting a Thor on the way, and 2-2 is in production. But Solar has caught up dramatically on the upgrades. ByuN didn't have an armory done very quickly, and that will cost him his opportunity to use the upgrades against Solar. He's got that 17 muta count, building a couple more, but the Widow Mines scattered throughout. Drilling Claws is not done, which means you can take them out after they fire. The thing is, if enough Widow Mines fire quickly, the mutas might not be around to take them out afterwards. So 3 more racks on the way. Thor in production. A second one as well. No upgrades for the Thors, but it only takes 3 or 4 Thor shots in order to take down the mutas in a single swipe. The healing shrine that everybody forgets about on this map, but is intentionally well off the normal path. Mutas still flocking around. Doing a great job of keeping ByuN bottled up at home, and now the Ling's in bed. Oh, wow. Whoa, looks like some juicy Widow Mine hits. I think the one Widow Mine that fired it all off. Hey boys, you want to help me out here? You want a piece of meat, boys? All jacked up and good to go. Changeling. The Widow Mine's the Thor out in front. Big hit on the mutas, but not able to pick it. Oh my! It's a disaster. Oh, sweet Kerrigan. That Widow Mine racks up 22 kills. Most of them banelings. The mutas are able to evade that devastating blow, but the majority of the ground army was not. Back at home, though, we have the Ultralisk cavern on the way. In production for Solar. And I said, oh, it happened again. I said before, I was a fan of the lurker style, but in this scenario where it's all about mobility, the ultras might be the leverage he needs. And the banelings rolling in, the SCVs trying to hide within the mineral line. Thor wastes a shot on the overseers, a little bit off center. 10 more SCVs dead. And the Zerg just continue to consume the map. Solar has pretty much his entire side. He's at 88 drones, full 4 base saturation. Chitinous plating, adrenal glands, 3-3 upgrades. ByuN hasn't even started 3-3. He's too busy chasing down the mutas. He's got a vanguard of turrets. The Thor's the most mobile turret of all. I love this. So at normal camera height, you can't even really see that changeling. Beautifully placed there. Now, ByuN does still have near 200 supply. He's going to have more army supply as well. Obviously, less workers. A wave of creep tumors is coming across the map. Multiple Ultralisk chitinous plating is on the way. The changelings, though, the creep is now extending, crossing the Rubicon, down the center. Muta count at 16, that perfect number. Thank you, Solar. Has +2 flyer attack as well. ByuN trying to raise that turrets per minute count. And the turrets outflanking the mutas, but now Lings and Banes coming in. The Ultras, the Marines tripping up on the Thor. The Banelings find a big connection. Bashing through, but the Marauders on the back line. Able to help out enough. Immediately replacing the Lings. The Mutas still keeping ByuN at bay. Ultra coming back in. Thor versus Ultralisk. Ye old big alien kaiju versus big ass mech robot. Alright, who doesn't love that? If you don't love that, I don't even know why you're here right now. No. Pacific Rim was great. Shame they never made a second one. Single Marauder, chopped to pieces. Command Center taking critical damage from the Mutas. Lings and Ultras. Long distance spawning from the SCVs. ByuN. His game resting on the edge of an Ultralisk blade. Stray but a little, and he'll be cloven in twain. And oh no, he went a little bit too close to the creep. The Widowmine's on the back line. The Muta's relegated to taking out command centers, but cleaving through the Thors. The Muta's taking out the command center. And for now, ByuN holds. But he lost his Thors. He lost his command center. He lost many of his SCVs. And Solar, there's nothing stopping him from doing it again and again and again and again. 95 drones. ByuN doesn't even have 3-3. If Solar can pick a fight in the next 30 seconds, it should be decisive. He even has +3 flyer attack. The Widowmine's underneath, softening up and whittling down the count. Overseer's drawing some more hits. The Bio Ball, hard to see how many Ultras are under there as the Medivacs are actually covering it up. But the Banelings rolling through. Widowmine hit helping out. Trying to target down more, but he can't deal with everything. There's too much Zerg. JJ. Solar just rolls through the risky lisks on both fronts, in the air and on the ground. But enough to keep ByuN back. It looked a little dicey for a few moments, but the Mutas carry him through. Well executed by Solar, and ByuN feels like a bit of panic. Even though he scouted the Spire so early, the thing about the Spire is if it's near finished, they can just not build Mutas, but you have to defend. It is the reverse of many of the Terran style strategies of, oh, I see a starport, what could it be? Flying units in general in StarCraft 2 can be a complete paradigm shift in how the early game and then mid-game plays out. And the existence of the Mutas. Now, what could ByuN have done better? Honestly, it's one of those, and that's why I personally love the Mutiling Bane versus Terran. And back and forth. Because it, for better or worse, now, StarCraft 2 is a strategy game. But it's a real-time strategy game. Which, 2/3 of that statement is real-time. And Mutiling Bane versus Marines, Marauders, Medivacs, and Thors feels like a true demonstration of the real-time aspect. You might know exactly what your opponent's doing, but it just comes down to who's able to get it done better. Trying to sneak out those little advantages in upgrades, getting enough economy, actually teching up to Hive, which is what Solar was able to pull off. That is usually the biggest sticking point to the late-game Zerg composition. So many players get tunnel visioned on the Mutas, thinking they need to just get just a couple more Mutas. Just give me a couple more. Just give me a couple more Mutas. Just need 23 Mutas. Then the Widowmines. Well, the turrets weren't enough, so ByuN falls back to the. Wait, what is this? Is this command center first? Oh, okay. I mean, still at 2 ranks, but. Command center first. Okay, ByuN. I want to thank By the way, we got a little downtime. Cranky Ducklings, organization that puts on so many of the community tournaments. Not even just, right, they have some King of the Hill events. I'll be honest, I don't cast many of them because the algorithm is not kind. All right, the algorithm knows people watch one game, then many of them leave. All right, not because they don't want to watch more, but because having the attention span to watch a single game of 15 minutes is already straining their TikTok addled mind. But thank you for being here. Don't worry, we can insult them together. Not because you just woke up or your TV was still on in the other room, but instead because as connoisseurs of the best game in the history of game. Okay, there's a lot of good games, but one of the best games, the best true esport. Well, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Make sure to check out Cranky Duck. Jimmy, put it in the description, the link. They got the Sparkling Tuna Cup. They cast many of the other community events as well. They have some events for lower level players, which, you know, pretty much anyone below this. So everyone watching. And they've been doing it for quite a while. I really appreciate it. I have no idea how this name came about. I do love Cranky Ducklings as a... Feels like an apt name for a tournament organization. Just casters in general. I wish I had better search engine optimization. Name yourself after a full season in a sports-based space. All right, what could go wrong? Well, who's more important, me or the season? Don't answer that. Search engine. But nobody uses search anyways. It's true. It's like 2%. It's actually really depressing. Not like it works. Because even when you go to YouTube search, it's like, yeah, you search for something, but with all due respect, go. Here's what you really want. Okay. Yes, Google. So ByuN has a bunch of Marines. What? But he's building banshees. You can't just walk across the map with a bunch of Marines, ByuN. Watch me. He's gonna have stim and cloak. It's like, these are two of my favorite things. That doesn't make it good. This is the equip. We've got a slanted wall off here. The parabolic wall. This is the equivalent of Protoss versus Zerg with like adepts and oracles. Except, well, oh my, it worked perfectly though. ByuN with a full bamboozle. Solar completely blindsided. Wait, no, he had a spore. Okay, somewhat blindsided. But what? How were we supposed to know that he was going cloak banshee? It doesn't make any sense. He had like 16 Marines and multiple racks. You always built the spore. How many times do we say spore 20? Yeah, but Marines. This is why we have rules. This is why the Hatchery Owners Association exists. We are a hive of rules, Susan. There's only one rule. There are no rules. You're conflating things again. This has gotten way off track. It was off track at the beginning, and we're just trying to find our way back there. But at the end of the day, we might not at all. So all we can do is transition into Infestation Pit already. Rushing into Hive as ByuN, despite the damage he was able to do with the Banshee. 10 drones. The Queen's blindside. The siege tank in a disgusting position. The Queen's... Oh, no, don't do it. No, it's not worth it. Even if it was just the siege tank, how many Queens would it take? Are we gonna find out? Oh my, the Zerglings get the wraparound gank in the mid lane though. Down goes one. Get up, my creep! That feels good. Oh my. ByuN biting off way more than he could chew there. Another example of asking whether or not he could, rather than whether or not he should. Because he went for the Cloak Banshee. He took Solar completely off guard, but when you go for a Cloak Banshee, your medevacs are severely delayed, so Solar just kind of rebuilt the drones and still had plenty of Zerglings. So, oh, but the Banshee lived. The Banshee who lived. It might even cancel the base, / destroy it, and just rebuilds it. Oh my. No, we've had too much. Just let it play out. All right, that's enough. Sometimes we go too far. Some days it works. Some days you're having one of these days. Yep, we've all been there. ByuN looking for another corner he can tuck his tanks into. I'm not sure if you can land a tank on this Reaper balcony. But, well, coming around the corner. Great target fire from the siege tank. Minimizes the banelings, but more... Wow, that surround was incredibly effective. The siege tank adding some damage in on the Marines as well. As the Zerglings close the distance and just chew them apart. The first upgrade. Adrenal glands. As the Zerglings rush across the map, and Ultralisk Cavern is on the way at the very back as well. The banelings roll in, and ByuN already in a very uncomfortable position. So he's gonna have 2-2. Banelings, I feel like the siege tank is getting more kills than the banelings did. 21 kills on the tank. I'm pretty sure it doesn't count friendly fire. The fact that 27 SCVs died, but it says 24 lost, tells a story. I feel like the damage the siege tanks have done to ByuN's army is almost critical. The upgrades are the saving grace. The only chance for ByuN to really carve out any sort of advantage. And even then, +2 Carapace is done for Solar. He hasn't been too stingy with it. Multiple Liberators heading out. The Marines try to drag attention out of position, but the Zerglings, the Banshee, still back at home racking up the kills. The Queens dealing with the Liberators. And, well, that's one. That's two. Double kill. And more Zerglings just scattering them through the mineral line and letting the siege tank do the work for them. The drop's gonna force the base to cancel. Ultras. Oh, the Baneling flank. He's able to pick up and get out in time. Banshee's still going. No drilling claws on the Widow Mines either. So he's just able to chew them up with the Adrenalings. +2 melee attack on the way. Widow Mine! Like a double-edged grenade there. Okay, that's just a normal grenade, but... Badly bruised medevac and Banshee. And the supplies are dangerously close to even. But that's just because Solar has pulled his queens off the line for so long, he doesn't have the larva from Inject. He has so many hatcheries, though, he should be able to replenish. He has 1,400 minerals in the bank. So right now it's a lack of ability to actually build units, not the resources with which to do so. Wow, the stutter step down the queens. But the Ultra make you pay quite a price. Actually trying to stutter step past the Ultra, which just feels mean. Single Widow Mine. The Banshee's still going to work. Banshee's up to 28 kills. Gonna start working on an Ultra. Big game hunted, if you would. And ByuN has survived, and he's working on 3-3. He's actually uncomfortably close to getting there. Once again, Solar's in a bit of a precarious position. ByuN has survived. He's going to have Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs on either side. The drilling claws are on the way. The Queen A few steps further, might have taken out that Banshee, but a hatchery's gonna get taken down. Solar at the 3 o'clock. Dragging back, eats a Widowmine hit, and those +3 upgrades completing. ByuN picks up. They'll expect some of us in the wreckage, brothers. And the spores on the perimeter are gonna zone him out of the main, though. So far, Solar not squandering his lead, but the edge is dulling by the second here. ByuN at exactly 69 SCVs, the perfect number for a very nice economy with still plenty of army supply. Widowmines thinning out so many Zerglings. A couple more in the third base, though. Gonna help deal with the SCVs. Almost exclusive, even a drone in the mix there. And Solar, and the drop! Gonna find another hatchery. Oh no, it's happening again. Another hatch is sniped off. As the drop was still lurking around, ByuN did all that with 30 army supply on the other side of the map. And now he's stimming forward, looking for the bases on the left side, while the drops are gunning down queens on the right. The Ultra's on the midfield, trying to find another hit. Widowmine's thins thing out. Words! Widowmine's hitting. He actually blocks him in with the changelings. What a play by Solar. But maybe getting a little fancy single Ultra, but the Marauders do terrible, terrible damage. Even with the +3 Carapace finishing, it's still going to be hard to deal with that critical mass of Marauders. They target down the Ultra, they pick up, they get out, but the Widowmines and the Medivacs are enough to thin things out on the left side. 165 to 160 supply. Actually, ByuN with a full round of Liberator production just took the supply lead. But Solar should still have the income. Indeed he does. But it's a tenuous lead. And with Liberators around, he's down to 4 queens on the field. So he's stretched between... He's doing some base camera injects, it looks like. The Spore Crawler repositions. ByuN has taken the mixed gold base down the center. No planetary fortress. Gonna clear out the creep. A few Zerglings to deal with the minefield. But he finds the base. ByuN stimming at least some of his forces to deal with it. Is that a lurker? Some lurkers showing up. He's got lurker range on the way for sure this time. The Zerglings hit by the mines again, but lurkers are added in. As Solar realized he's running the risk of banging the Ultralisk into a wall that he's not going to be able to break through. And the lurkers, on the other hand, a much better option for slicing through it. Ooh, Fungal on the back line. Liberators over the top, though. Venn diagram of freedom once again doing work on any Zerg that get close enough. But the raged lurkers, ByuN not reacting. He didn't realize lurkers were on the field, and it will cost him another dozen units. The Widowmines getting absolutely excruciating damage on the Zerglings. How many kills? 11 kills, like 30 kills, and then some. As he recharges for more. 10 more SCVs dead. A fusion core is on the way as ByuN tries to tech up, definitely for advanced ballistics. Still plenty of medevacs. That drop from the other side came back. Solar is holding on. Still has 82 drones. The command center getting ping cushioned by the Hydras. So many of those Zerg units being taken down, but the command center joins them. Solar has most of the map. A Liberator, but a Spore on the outside. Outmaneuvered. Oh. Yikes. The Infestor's like, nope. And can you blame him? The Rings of Freedom. Lunges forward, knocks out a Liberator. The Viper's gathering. The Hydra's holding. Solar doesn't have much of a bank, but ByuN isn't even maxed out. He was denied the 5th base. The reinforcement should be able to deal with this lurker, but pulling the Liberators to get over here. 4 out of 5 Liberators pulled out. The 5th one knocked out as well, all on its own. ByuN being chased all the way back across the map, and Solar has maintained the momentum. He ran the risk of allowing ByuN to flip the table on this match, but he shifted into the lurkers, and now ByuN is backed up against his own base, lunges forward, 32 SCVs here as he's ran out of mineral patches in the main and natural. SCVs pulled off the line. Ultras and banelings just decimate them instantaneously. Lunges back with the Hydras. The army supply is still about even. Scanning forward, making sure he's not running into lurkers. It looks like a Widowmine got a massive death rattle over there. But ByuN has one last attack. 87 to 32 workers. And that's really the only saving grace here for ByuN. He's got the +3. He's got 100 army supply. And Solar, if he doesn't have lurkers, if he doesn't have spellcasters or lurkers with his army, well, the bio ball is gonna potentially roll past, but multiple blinding cloud to break things up, parasitic bomb to bring them down, Zerglings to undercut what's left of the economy, and G's in the chat to define the series. Solar wins 3-1. ByuN got his cheeky medevac timing. Solar, it cost him thousands of Zerglings in this series. But he would have paid thousands more to accomplish what he did here today. Solar once again proving his title as the Rocky Zerg into that one guy who keeps saying, Winter, you called Snoot the Rocky Zerg literally 12 years ago, and I have proof because it's in the thumbnail of one of the videos. Well, guess what? Believe it or not, they kept making Rocky movies, even if the first one was the best. So, on that note, thank you for watching. Thank you to Frankie Ducklings. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. And hopefully it made your day just a little bit better. If you got the means of motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. Thank you to our meal tier patrons, bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jig, Dev, Door, Kate, Mario, Suit. Glad you still enjoy. And thank you to everyone for watching. Good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.